Hello, it's me, Goose. Yes, unfortunately, I need to bear the truth. I am not actually a goose. I am a round, old, queer, black woman. But for seriously, this video is a little bit close to my heart, and I felt it would be more appropriate that my human face would be shown on screen. Okay? Like, goose meat is great, and I love goose meat. But for something like this, it's good to have a human face, because it's a human topic. It's about aging in fandoms. We're all going to do it. I mean, as long as you're living, as long as you got a flesh body, you're going to get older. If you're lucky, if you're blessed, you're lucky. And so that inevitably runs into a lot of situations where older fans run into with some unfortunate ageism. And 9 times out of 10, the ageism falls on people going after older women. And so I wanted to do a little bit of a discussion about what it's like to go get older while you're being a fan, from a perspective, from a black queer woman's perspective. And I invite anybody who watches this video to please put in the comments, discuss your own experiences getting older in fandom. You can be 30, 50, 60, whatever. You can even be just, going on a 12, 20, whatever. It's about what you learn and what you develop into as a person while you're in fandoms. Because believe it or not, for a lot of people, fandoms are their very first experience of going on a journey of finding out who they are. Like, in my case, I didn't understand my queerness until I got into college, and I was surrounded by more people who were also in the same families that I was in that were open. So, despite me growing up in a household that was openly supporting LGBTQ, my mother was a staunch advocate for LGBTQ. We didn't discuss it that much, but I didn't have words because I didn't know how to approach my mother. I didn't know what to say to my mom. But being in anime, being in video games, and then finally getting into college, where I met people who were older than me at the time, I was like my late teens when I got into college, there were people who were in their 30s and 40s, even in their 60s, who were like, oh yeah, maybe you're gay. You gay. And of course, when I got back home, I told my mom, I was like, yeah, I always knew you were gay. That's just how it is for me, at least. So let's get a little benefits of getting older in fandom. For one thing, you get to see a fandom evolve. And I mean for any fandom. You can be for Star Wars, you can be for Star Trek, insert your favorite video game. I mean, most of the video games that we've had from PlayStation 1 all the way up to PlayStation 5, these are franchises that have gone on to like 10, 15, 20 years, some even 30 years in case for like Final Fantasy. This is like 30-something years old at this point. And so you get to be there to watch the evolution of these titles. For good or for bad, listen, the whole clear obscure discussion, everyone and their mom has something they want to say about turn-based and action-based, whatever. But it's very cool to watch you play Final Fantasy 3, aka Final Fantasy 6, on the Super Nintendo, with its turn-based and cute, fat little pixel graphics, which are still gorgeously held up because 2D, and then go ahead and jump into playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth with its 4K, all 18 million freckles on Cloud's face, and you get to be there because you got to see it from the beginning. You got to cherish that from the beginning. And of course, same thing applies to movies. If you were at any kind of age with us and millennials, and I'll even throw in some Gen Xers as well, there was a time where video game movies were dog shit. Like, the very idea of having prestige video game shows was something that wasn't even possible. No one took that seriously. Like, you sat there and you said to yourself, oh, they're going to make a serious Sonic movie? Wait, a Sonic the Hedgehog movie? If you had come to me 20 years ago and said, the best, highest scoring video game movie currently, or of all time, and again, currently, is Sonic the Hedgehog 3 at 86%, I would look at you, you're crazy. First of all, it's a Sonic movie. It being successful is a miracle, but it to be rated higher than Mario or any of the other games that came out there, shit. But now you're looking at, from my perspective, I get to see Last of Us on HBO with, $100 million budget with, Oscar caliber acting and story writing and everything else like that going in there. And, I get to look at the next video game movies being actual successes. Again, like I said, Sonic the Hedgehog, despite, Ugly Sonic being its first debut, if you were like me growing up with the Genesis and also going through that really dark era of Sonic on like internet on YouTube, you would never even have imagined that you would have Keanu Reeves playing Shadow or Idris Elba playing fucking Knuckles. It would have never crossed your mind. And yet, we have 3 Sonic movies that are all high scoring. All of them made a lot of money and pretty much are carrying Paramount on its back at the moment. I mean, for fuck's sake. But that's one of the benefits of being someone of a certain age. And you get to watch your fandoms evolve, be reborn again in that process. And I think that's something that people kind of forget or throw away. Like, oh gosh, why are you still liking these kiddie things? Like, you have to remind people, like, listen, there was a brief moment in 2008 all the way up to 2019, I believe, where the entire world was addicted to Game of Thrones. Like, you could sit there and say to yourself, hey, I love Tyrion Lannister, and someone would know exactly what you're talking about. And that's from a dark fantasy geeky book, right? Okay, like people were not paying attention to it because fantasy, believe it or not, has always kind of been a hard sell. Like there were certain eras in Hollywood and time where fantasy would rule and then it wouldn't go down. A great video that I recommend talking about, fantasy in Hollywood and how the lack of fantasy is affecting like costumes and everything is done by my girl Modern Girls, which I highly recommend going to her channel and watching that video because I was there for most of those eras. I was there for the Conan era and, early 2000s Lord of the Rings era. And yeah, I enjoyed that so much. I really enjoyed watching that video very much. So you get to have this experience that you can relate to younger kids who have sat down and never watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy or they not seen The Matrix, because there are kids now who were born who've never seen The Matrix. And you're like, oh, you've never seen The Matrix. They've only ever known Keanu Reeves as John Wick. Or now in this case, they've only ever known Keanu Reeves as Johnny Silverhand and as Shadow the Hedgehog. And they don't know about the back catalog that Keanu Reeves has done. And you get to go there and introduce them to that. You can say, hey man, you love Keanu as this person. Well, he was Neo. He owned the theaters as Neo, or he was the main character in Speed, or he played a really terrible Jonathan Harker in the beautiful Bram Stoker's Dracula back in 1992. And I guess for a lot of older fans, they might feel like, well, maybe they're just bothering younger fans with this, or there's a lot of disrespect from younger fans who don't want to listen to it, and that's understandable. That's understandable, but I don't want younger fans and older fans to have this preconceived connotation about the groups, right? Not every younger fan is an asshole online, and not every older fan is just that weird old uncle guy that keeps talking about the great days, the non-woke days of Marvel Comics. There's a lot of in between, and I believe that's something that could have been cultivated better. And of course, I can't neglect to talk about the culture war. I can't neglect the culture war as a prime example of a target in the culture war. I mean, fat, black, female, queer, Jesus Christ, all I need is a unicorn horn and I'd be complete. I understand the hesitance because even when I go on YouTube now, I struggle to find YouTube channels where we're talking about old movies, old comic books, old video games, and being afraid to giving a like or a view to someone who's going to say, Kathleen Kennedy is the worst person ever. Like, oh my God, I can't watch anything Star Wars without encountering an asshole like this. And usually they're older men. You're like, oh God, I can't deal with this anymore. But there are a lot of, younger people who are watching stories, watching these movies, watching these video games, whatever, and they have insight that they want to share with you as well. So it's kind of like finding a way to bridge the idea gap, the stereotype gap, as it were, and just finding a way to just communicate. And one of the things that I recommend for a lot of older fans is to go to conventions. Seriously, I've met a lot of older fans and younger fans that collaborate with each other at conventions. That's usually the best way to go, because the older fans know about the properties that you know and love. A lot of older Doctor Who fans who could talk about things in the newer Who. I know nothing about Doctor Who. I'm sorry. I just know it's a thing that's old. It's an old ass show, but it had a lot of old ass fans. But you can talk to the fellow people who like looking at Doctor Who, or Star Trek fans who hopefully still exist. I mean, who owns Star Trek now? I want to say Paramount. No, but you can talk to those people and you can get some insight between them. And one of the things that kind of sucks now is that older people and younger people and people in the middle are all thrown together in Twitter and like social media hubs, and there's no separate places for them just to get a breather. So you don't know who you're talking to on this account, because very rarely will they'll have their age on there. And that person who, may sound, or you may think they might be young, that person might be, 63, 65 years old. And that person sounds really smart, really aged, they might be in their 20s, all right? Like, Jesus Christ, I learned something from you. Woo. And I'm not ashamed to say I've been learned. I have learned a thing of free from watching younger YouTubers, watching, cosplayers and people like that. I've loved that shit. I feel that it's a very important thing for us as older fan people to not think we know everything, because we don't, and to be open to a lot of change. And that can be pretty scary. We're now our parents' age and our grandparents' age in some cases, where we like things to stay the same because it feels nice, it's safe, it's a good thing to have. But we also run the risk of letting our particular fandom stagnate, because if there's no new blood coming in and talking about certain subjects, and it's just the old people, when the old people die, no one's going to talk about it, right? Like, I'll use case in point. I know people are going to not like this in particular, but I'll use an example. I'll talk about Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings had a revival with the movies that came out in the 2000s, and then the really not so great prequel ones that were also in the 2000s. But then comes Rings of Power, and regardless of how you feel about it, regardless of how you feel about Rings of Power, it has people talking. It has people paying attention to it. It has people looking to read more books about it. There's interest in Lord of the Rings now, and now they're gonna screw it by making a prequel Gollum movie. Oh my God, what like this? Or I'll use even a better example, the best example actually, the one I can safely say, Devil May Cry. The Netflix show came out a couple of weeks ago. I did a video about it right here. Go ahead and check it out. And I thought the show was fine. It was different. I'm not in love with it per se, but I enjoyed my time with it. But what it did do was it opened the door for a lot of people who didn't play Devil May Cry, who never heard of Devil May Cry, who only ever heard of Devil May Cry from like the memes, to go out and play the game, or get back into the fandom again, drawing more art, writing more fic. It revived the fandom, believe it or not. And you can sit there as a Devil May Cry fan as I am and say that didn't need to happen. Devil May Cry is doing fine. But for Capcom, the show did exactly what it needed to do. it did exactly what they wanted the show to do, which is revive interest in the brand. And so you kind of have to give or take as an old person in fandom and say, the more things change, the more things stay the same, or I don't like this version of it, I don't like this version of it. But also understand, like, yeah, but this might not be made for me. Be welcoming. Be welcoming to the new people that want to come in there. And that will keep something going. You get to be that person to keep things going. And, I'll use another example that's pretty close to me. Final Fantasy VII. For fuck's sake, I love Final Fantasy VII. When I go meet my maker, bury me with all my Final Fantasy VII swag. I love it. But I'm not the hugest fan of the re-trilogy. I have my problems with the re-trilogy, but I also understand that this is a chance for Nomura and Co. Well, now he's on Kingdom Hearts, God bless his soul. Hamaguchi and Co. and the rest of the older guards of that did Final Fantasy. This is their last this is their last chance to do something because they're at retirement age. These guys are in their 60s. Some of them are in their 70s. They want to have one big show. And I long ago accepted, hey, man, let them make what they're going to make. I may not like the decisions that they do. I might not agree with everything that they do, but also they gave me Final Fantasy. They gave me something that was very formative in my life. And I feel as a great big fan of Final Fantasy 7, they should be allowed to do what they want with it. They should be allowed to explore themes that they weren't able to do because of time and budget. Time and budget. They can do things with it. And I like that. I think that that's in my opinion, a mature approach to it. You don't have to agree with it, of course, but that's how I feel in regards to that. And so another big nugget that I want to discuss is that a lot of times the ageism towards older fans is heavily skewed against female fans. There's been a long perception that women should not indulge in these things. These are typically, quote unquote, male activities, and they should be doing things that are female activities. And so a lot of times that I've experienced it, God knows there's been more times I can count, when I'm approached for something that involves any kind of nerdiness, anime-ness, knowledge-ness, I'll get grilled by some dude, or some dude will try to mansplain something to me, and it's annoying as fuck. But it's even more disheartening to see a hostility towards female fans from younger female fans. And usually when this happens, it involves something that involves shipping. It just is. It's been like this for a while. It's not new. I regret to inform you, this is not new. This is something that's kind of always been there, where a lot of younger people feel this sense of cringe dealing with older fans because they're like your aunt or your mom or your grandma or whatever, and they don't want to talk to those people. They don't want to converse with those people. And for some cases, there's a lot of people like, well, they feel uncomfortable when discussing, more adult topics. And I'm not talking about like teenagers. I'm talking about young adults in their 20s who feel this way. And what's the answer to that? My answer is growing up. Growing up, I never had this issue. I never experienced being 20 and feeling like, oh my God, that older woman is so cringe. I never had that experience. I've been always wanting to learn more from the Fujo grandmothers. Tell me everything you know. Teach me. Show me what you know. Show me the old text. That's kind of how I've always been with it. But for a lot of the younger fans out there, there's a embarrassment, and they shouldn't feel embarrassed. And that's something you get out of when you grow older, because as it stands, older women are not going to leave these fandoms. They're not going to leave their ships. They're not going to say, oh, I'm no longer shipping this anymore because I'm a married mother of 5. That's not going to happen. That married mother of 5 has written like 45 fanfics before you were even a thought. They're not going to stop. They're not going to go away. You can't really push them out. And so I feel it's important for younger people who feel the way that they do, is just grow up. You're not going to leave fandom when you turn 25. You're just not. You think you are. You might believe you are. You might believe you have more important things to do. Absolutely not. Because one of the things that fandoms provide, and that's been true for since time immemorial, is a means to escape. You get to get away from the bullshit that's going on in your life. For a hot minute, you get to go on AO3, you get to find your favorite ship, you get to read your favorite fic, and for like a blessed 2 hours or 30 minutes or whatever, you can forget the nonsense that's currently going on around you. And that goes with video games, that goes with anime, that goes with reading your favorite book. It doesn't matter. It's an escape. Fandom is an escape. And for a lot of people, they make fandom to a career. They make fandom into an identity. And the good ones manage to do it healthily. The bad ones wind up getting in trouble. And that's unfortunate, but welcome. Welcome. So basically, to cut this short, I feel that there needs to be an understanding that one day, young one, you will get older. And if you're lucky and you have a good, healthy set of boundaries, you'll still love the things that you love, because no one should tell you you're too old to love the things that you do. No one should take that away from you. You should have fun. Don't worry about perception. Don't worry about what other people think of it. Don't worry about how people are going to view you, because they don't care about you. They just don't. And you shouldn't succeed. You shouldn't give up the things that you love in order to be liked by people that will hate you regardless. I've seen it. I've seen plenty of people who were around my age who left fandoms and went to go ahead and do their own thing. And then they come into my DMs or they go into my Facebook messages and they say, oh, well, yeah, I mean, I kind of left doing this. And, I mean, things are going pretty good. I don't know. And I'm like, are you happy? Like, are you okay? And they're like, I'm okay. And you're like, no, you're not. You're not happy. You're not happy. And what can I say? And it doesn't mean that I'm automatically a better person because I'm still in my fandoms. No, I have my own issues I need to work through, and God knows we all do. But that's why it's important for you to just understand that you need to make sure you find your own happiness and you need to take care of your own happiness. Preserve your peace, as it were. Keep yourself happy. And if going to read a 95K slow burn enemies to lovers fic on AO3 or, trying to beat your best score at a Halo match or, watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy for the 19,000th time does that for you, do it. Do it. Doesn't matter. Fuck them. fuck them. That's how I should end my video. Fuck them. Go and do what makes you happy. And so, yeah, that's my off the top discussion about aging and fandoms. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you all for your support. Next week, the goose will return. I just want to have my faith out for this one. Take one more look. maybe I'll do more face things. I don't know. Who knows what. Anyway, my name is Goose. You guys be good. Drink water. And I'll see you next video. Bye.